Hi, welcome to my channel, Life Over 60. The 75 Hard My Way challenge is now complete. Yay! In today's video, I just want to talk about the challenge. I want to talk about why I undertook this challenge, why I adapted the rules for it, how it went, what were some of the key takeaways, and what's next. Essentially, I started this challenge because I just felt I needed another challenge. I've done a lot of challenges, in my time, and this 75 hard challenge for some reason, kept popping up on my YouTube feed, and I know it was super popular, about 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know why it all of a sudden popped up. Maybe it was calling out to me to say, there you go, Sonia, there's another challenge for you to do. The 75 hard has a number of, rules, if you will. First of all, you have to follow a diet. Doesn't matter what the diet is, but you have to follow a diet. No cheat meals, no alcohol. You have to drink a gallon of water every day. You have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day. You have to take a progress picture every day. And you have to do 2 45-minute workouts every day. And with the workouts, one is supposed to be out of doors, and they're not supposed to be back to back. And if you miss a day, then you're supposed to go right back to day one. Now, I think this whole thing was set up to gives you self-discipline. You're actually making progress towards something. So I think for some people that just might really resonate with them. But for me, that's the key word, resonate. A challenge has to resonate for me. I'm not going to take on a challenge if it's not meaningful for me. So when I look at the 75 hard challenge, I have to question some things. So following a diet, for example, and not having a cheat meal or not having alcohol. For me, when it comes to diet, and first of all, I guess this presupposes that anyone doing this challenge wants to lose weight, which probably the vast majority of people did when they undertook this challenge. When it comes to the diet, for myself, yeah, I do want to lose some weight, but I don't believe I want to follow a specific diet. I believe that I can determine how many calories a day I need to eat. And to do that, I just use the total daily energy expenditure calculator, which I'll put a link below. And that gave me an idea of what my maintenance calories are. And then to be in a deficit of 500 calories, what I would have to eat. And that would then equate to being able to lose a pound per week. And it also kind of gives you an idea of what your ideal weight should be for your age, your height, your sex. And it said that I should lose between, 10, 12 pounds to be at my ideal weight. For me though, it's like, okay, I'm going to figure out what my macros are. And if I want to have a pizza or if I'm going to have a glass of wine or two, well, I'm just going to fit that within my macros. So I tweaked that little piece of it. When it came to drinking a gallon of water, yeah, I thought that's reasonable because I exercise a lot, need a lot of water, and it's always been something that I have struggled with. I've gotten better over time, but I felt I could probably do better. Reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day, totally on board with that one. Totally on board because, as you can see in the picture, I have a stack of nonfiction books that I have not read, and I love to read. So I figured this is going to get me into the good habit of reading again. Taking a progress picture every day. Now, I believe in progress pictures. I think they're great because sometimes when you're looking at yourself in the mirror or just even looking at the scale, the numbers, it's the picture where you will see sometimes more results than you will otherwise. But I didn't think you had to do it every day. I felt one progress picture a week was sufficient. When it came to exercise, doing 2 45-minute workouts that are not back to back, one of them being outside, I could do that. I'm retired, so I do have time in my day that allows me to do that. But I put a little but in there. I'm training for a marathon, and once a week I do a long run, and I'm going to be out there for 2 to 3 hours, if not longer sometimes. I don't need to do a second workout. That one is plenty. And then for the challenge, I added my own little element because I wanted to do something actually that's going to be really, really difficult. And that was, I committed to posting a YouTube short every single day. And that was my thing that was going to make this challenge pretty difficult. And the last thing too, do not believe that a person needs to, if they screw up one day and don't do something, that you got to start back at day one. I think, no, life sometimes gets in the way. Sometimes it's inevitable that you may not be able to do something that you've set out to do. So accept that and move on. And the next day, continue. That's the way I look at these kinds of challenges. I say that, but there are some times, and again, I think it depends on what the challenge is. For example, during this whole thing, I did quit drinking for the month of August, and I announced it publicly on YouTube. I said, I'm going to quit drinking for the month of August. And I really, really, really wanted to do the full 31 days and prove to myself that I could do that. So for me, there was no slipping up. I was not going to give myself grace if I had a glass of wine and then, got back on track the next day. I think it's a very individual thing in terms of what you allow for yourself and what you don't. So how did it go? How did the 75 days go? I faithfully read 10 pages of my book every single day. During the course of the 75 days, I read 4 books. I read The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I read Why We Get Fat. I read Better Than Before. And I read Miracle Morning. All really, really great books. I thoroughly enjoyed every single one of them. And there were bits and pieces in there that, just really resonated with me. For example, in Better Than Before, it talks all about habits, creating habits and all of that. And I learned some valuable things about myself in terms of like this challenge, why I'm not just going to run, head first and do something, because I question things and I have to believe in what it is that I'm going to be doing. When it came to drinking water, I have this jug and it's 64 ounces. And I thought that was a gallon. So every day I was drinking my gallon of water until I did a YouTube short on it. And one of my viewers pointed out that actually 64 ounces is only half a gallon. I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Anyways, so I just stuck to the half gallon because that was actually more water than I've ever really been drinking. So that was good. When it came to the diet, well, so I talked about earlier trying to, you got to figure out my macros. And again, that, the calculator told me this is the amount of calories that you should be eating to lose a pound a week. But I think we're all different. Just because you're a certain age or certain height or you're male or female doesn't necessarily mean that we're all going to have the same calorie needs. I've gone through menopause, I have hypothyroidism. Those things have an impact on how my body is going to release weight. And it's not always easy. I really strive to stay in a deficit. I weighed my food. I tracked it. I used my Fitness Pal. And, you know, Sunday to Thursday, I was good. But then kind of come the weekends, well, you indulge a bit more. At least I do. So while I didn't lose, you know, 10 to 12 pounds, I did lose 9 pounds. And I'm extremely happy about that because it is very difficult for me to lose weight. Well, it's difficult because I'm not a perfectionist at it. When it came to doing the workouts, I did 2 workouts every day. Most of them were, one would be like indoors, it would be like my weights, or it'd be yoga or a spin class. And then the other one would be walking. And I'd usually wear my 20-pound weighted vest for those walks. A couple of times a week, I do a little short run, and then I do a long run. And as I mentioned earlier, then I only did 1 workout. Out of the full 75 days, there were 2 days that I didn't do a workout. And it was just, you know, like I mentioned earlier, life sometimes gets in the way, and I allowed life to get in the way. I didn't plan, you know, maybe I could have planned properly or whatever, but 2 days out of the 75, I mean, that's okay in my books. I did take a progress picture every week, and I have to say, with the last one that I just took, I can see a bit of a difference. And plus I did my measurements, and they came, you know, it's more my waist and my hips and my abdomen. And there was some difference there as well. So I'm very happy about that. The posting a video every day, I did it. Every single day I posted a video. And it was a challenge because I didn't want to just come on and say, yep, did, but you know, tick, 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 and everything. Okay, that's it, done. No, I tried to maybe think of something to say. And I really appreciate everybody who took the time to watch those videos. I really, truly appreciate it. So what are the key takeaways for me during this challenge? Well, first of all, I recognized that for some things, I do need to have a goal. And I need to express that goal so that I'm held accountable. I had mentioned in one of the, you know, the YouTube shorts that I wasn't swimming or biking. Hadn't done that in probably over a year. And I realized the reason I wasn't was because I'm not training for a triathlon, so I don't have to. I didn't look at these activities as fun activities. It was always in my head, if you're swimming or you're cycling, it's because you're training. You're not having fun, you're training. And so when I didn't have to train, I just didn't do these activities anymore. And the same could be said about running. If I didn't sign up for a marathon in November, I wouldn't necessarily be running. So that was very interesting to find that out about myself, because at the same time, when it comes to walking or strength training, I do that all the time. Those are activities that I feel are super important for my health, especially as I'm getting older, you know, to make sure that I've got the cardiovascular fitness, that my bones are strong, and that I've got some muscles on me. So I don't need to have a goal to say I've got to walk 10,000 steps a day, or I have to do, I don't know, whatever. I just do those. I also feel that perfection is not necessary. I think if we try to be perfect, that can wreak havoc for our mental wellness, at least for some people. I believe that if something happens and you didn't do everything that you wanted to do that day, give yourself some grace and just continue on the next day. So what's next? I realize I do need to have some goals. Like once the marathon is over, I still want to do some running, biking, swimming. I do need to change my mindset a bit too when it comes to the activities, to say that, you know, it's okay to go out and have a leisurely bike ride. It doesn't always have to be about how far are you going, how hard are you going. that kind of thing. But nonetheless, in order to get myself there, I have 2 events that I've planned for March. One of them is called the 4x4x48. And this is David Goggins, who came up with this. And it's you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. I have friends that do this on a yearly basis. They've done it for 2 years now. And I believe they do it as a team. I've always been in Florida when they've done it. And I will be in Florida again this year. But I contacted my friend and I said, sign me up. I'm doing it with you guys, even though I'll be doing it virtually. So I'm doing that. And again, in March, there's an Olympic-sized triathlon where you swim 1.5 kilometers, you cycle for 40, and you run for 10. And that is going to get me back in the pool and back on my bicycle. After that, who knows? I don't know what's next, but I will think of something. And it's not always about workouts, although it seems that I talk about that a lot. I do have another goal. I have 2 other goals. One is I do want to write a book. I've been running for over 30 years now. I have done some amazing races in that time. I've done some amazing events, and I'd like to talk and I'd like to put that down on paper. The other goal I have is with YouTube. I would like to hit that 1,000 subscriber number and the 4,000 watch time number, because these are like goals that YouTube sets out in order for you to become monetized. And it's not the monetization part, it's just it's like that's the thing you need to achieve in order to kind of move yourself forward on YouTube. I would love to know what your goals are. I would love to know if you undertook some new goals during these 75 days and how it went for you. Drop me a line in the comments. I'd really love to hear from you. And if you'd like to see any of the other videos that I'll be posting, please subscribe. Help me get to my 1,000 subscribers. I'm a little over halfway there, so I keep plugging away at this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of my journey. And I will see you in my next video.